I love lesson 9. This is such a great lesson. So let's go ahead. We're gonna definitely get this started. So we're gonna navigate over to our lesson 9 folder. I'm gonna do the file open for me. Remember, we're always gonna open the start file. Silas, don't open that end file, buddy. I'm teasing you, man. Go ahead and open the start. Ooh, the Stars are playing. Man, they're having a good season too. I'm glad I got a Stars jersey. They're actually trying to move a NHL hockey team to Georgia, but I'm really mad because the stadium's going to be like 2 hours away, and I ain't driving that far. So, but I am excited the Stars are playing. Okay. So this is actually a brochure. This is a multi-page, like a tiny booklet is probably the better way to say it. This is a small booklet, and this title piece is horrendous. I hate that red against the green. And don't worry, we're going to do something in the lesson to address that. But we're looking at a neat little booklet. This is the one lesson I'm really mad they changed. They changed it to garden because that's the theme of the book. But it used to have this lesson structure as teas, and I'm a tea drinker. I don't drink coffee. If I wanted to taste like what water and dirt mixed together tastes like, I drink coffee. I prefer dead leaves and hot water, but that's just me. And it's a growing up thing. I like different types of tea. I drink spiced chai personally, and it's if I don't have hot tea in the morning, my morning doesn't start. So, but I also love gardening. Like I mentioned, we planted some flowers last weekend and have a tree and everything. So I don't mind the lesson, but I loved the teas. It was so cool. But this is like a nice little booklet about gardening and different types of vegetables. It's actually a really cool little lesson. But the lesson is going to focus on style. And so this pages is one of the cornerstones of InDesign, and styles is another major cornerstone and pillar of this. If you can get the understanding and use of styles under control, then you're really saving time. And we talked about this in lesson 2, where I showed you I can change the color of character styles real quick. That's the benefit and the beauty of styles. And by doing organizing and setting up styles in a certain way, it's real quick and easy to pop through stuff. So like with bullet points, I had a style set up for bullets. I had a style set up for numbers. I had a style set up for just my basic text, for titles, subtitles, and italics, things like that. And we're going to look at all 5 types of styles. So there's table styles and cell styles. The next lesson, I believe, it may be 10, it may be 11, is about tables. And then, but we're going to be introduced to that here. And then we'll talk about character and paragraph styles. We're going to talk about object styles. We kind of touched that on lesson 2. And there's not much to it. But we're gonna really get into like really how to do stuff with styles and the importance of and what they contribute inside of your document and your design process. The major takeaway from this would be this will save you time in the long run. Okay. All right. So let's get this party started. I love this lesson. It's so much fun for me. I love styles. They make my life easy. Keep in mind that when you start a document, you actually don't have any styles. And then at the very end of the lesson, the last thing we do is we actually look at how to import styles from another document, because that is a real thing. So this is an 8-page, 6-page. This is a 6-page booklet. So we're going to scroll past the cover. I'm sure your eyes have melted from seeing that red versus green. They're complementary colors, and that's actually a great color theory example of how green and red fight each other. We had to deal with that in college, but we're going to drop down to the next set of pages. They're facing pages. Remember, pages that are side by side in your document like this, when you fold your document and close it, they face each other. So it says premium vegetable seeds, starter plants, and tools. All right. We're going to set up a paragraph style. And we do have a lot of paragraph styles already created, so don't freak out. But we're going to go through the steps of creating all this stuff. We're going to start with paragraph styles, but we're going to make some changes to a line of text, and then we're going to create a paragraph style from there, and then we're going to apply those styles, okay? We're going to start where it says heirloom vegetables right next to that tomato plant. All right. Let's grab our type tool, and then we're going to select the line of text that says heirloom vegetable seeds. We're going to wait a month or two before we start planting vegetables. And at some point, I got to build a greenhouse out here. Last year, we did like, we had these cherry tomatoes. They're called black cherry tomatoes. They're not black. They're just the top part of the cherry tomato is a little darker. They were pretty good. And then we had celebrity tomatoes and some other type of tomatoes. And then I had jalapenos. She doesn't like spicy food. I do. All right. So we choose the line, select the line, heirloom vegetables. What we're about to adjust are, so we're going to adjust the color, the size, and then we're going to do adjust two parts called the space before and the space after. Okay. It's the latter two that are a little weird, but they're very useful bits to know. First thing we want to do is they want us to change the color. So I'm going to go to the control panel for all of this. Come on, we're starting lesson 9, and there's really only we're probably halfway through all the lessons, or at least on this side of the halfway point. So in the control panel, remember there's the fill and the stroke. So you'll see that black T, and then the T below it is the stroke. It's the one that's got the red line strike through it, and that means transparent. So where the black T is, that's your fill. That's the color of your font. We're going to hit the arrow on the right-hand side. This panel is your stroke panel. All right. And so in here, they want us to change it to the red tomato. Should be tomato red, but whatever. So we're going to make it red. That's also new to this lesson, and I don't think I'm okay with it, but there's worse colors. So then once you choose your color, just hit that arrow again, and that panel disappears. So we're changing the font from black to red. We're going to change the size of this font. So go to the left. Again, it's Minion Pro. Love Minion Pro. But the font size is set to 12. We're going to change that value to 18. That's going to make it big. This is like a subheader. So we're basically showing the reader that the paragraph above is your general, or 2 paragraphs above, or your general information paragraph, having to do, in covering in a broad way, premium vegetable seeds starter plant tools. Then where it says heirloom vegetable seeds, this is a subtitle to show that inside this information, this next paragraph deals only with heirloom vegetable tomatoes. So it's a subtitle. It's the title of this paragraph, but it's not the title of the section. So this text should be a smaller font size. It could be 2 points or 4 points, whatever you feel visually separates the two. To the point that that title, Premium Vegetables, is 23 points, okay? So subtitles, really, they just, or a paragraph header like this, they just got to be a few points bigger than the rest of the text. So we made it red. We made it, 18 points. And now what we're going to do is we're going to adjust the space before, which is the space above it, and the space after, which is the space below. Where it says before and after, that's in reference to the paragraph return, for example. So, or the place of the paragraph. So this would be the space before a paragraph, so the space above it, or the space after a paragraph, the space below, okay? This is actually, and I am in the control panel, going to switch us to the paragraph side just because it's easier to find those pieces there. So in your control panel on the left-hand side, remember the capital A are your characters, and then there's the paragraph symbol below. And when you click on that, that will switch your control panel to the paragraph, okay? We are going to go past the alignments and justifications. There's the indent, there's left and right indent, and then space before. So it's not the first column of zeros, not the second, but the third, where it just has 1 0. And then to the right of that one is space after. It says 0.125. We're going to start with the 0. So again, if you put your cursor over the icon, it tells you what it is. You're looking for what's called space before. All right, so this is the space above it. They're actually going to have us add a value, and that's 0.05. And you can hit tab. When you hit tab, you're going to notice that it pushes that text down just a smidge. We're creating just a little bit of space between that paragraph, start dreaming and planning, and this subheader. Now for this, if you hit tab, it immediately takes you to the space after, and this has to do with the spacing between that paragraph, or in this case, this line of text, and the paragraph below it that says, look for your tried and true. It's a good idea to reduce that spacing simply because this subheader actually is about that paragraph. So instead of the value there, we're going to do 0.025. So this is going to be very noticeable, and it is. You're going to see that paragraph jump up to that little subheader. And so when you're done, I'm just going to keep my my cursor inside that line of text. When you're done, we have a lot of space between that paragraph start dreaming and the heirloom vegetable seeds. So you see that separation, because separation can be good. It's just when you're doing it with letters or words. But with paragraphs, it could serve a purpose. And then we reduce that spacing after to bring the paragraph closer so that the viewer can see heirloom vegetable seeds, this paragraph below it, that's what the paragraph's about. That should make sense. And these are all visual cues that as a society we've recognized. Even from small children, we recognize that, okay? I'll tell you what, let's go ahead and do this next part of creating the paragraph style, applying that style, and then we'll take our next break, okay? So you go ahead and either keep it highlighted or just put your cursor in there. Mine's in the word vegetable or vegetable. Paragraph styles, you just have to use your cursor. It just deals with the whole body of text, or these three words. It deals with that wherever the cursor is. We're going to go to the type menu at the top, go to the type menu at the very top, and then we're going to choose paragraph style. Okay, not paragraph, but paragraph style. It should be the 9th option down. Character style and paragraph style have their own section. And when you open up this panel, they should actually be side by side. The reason I bring that up is we're going to be doing character styles next when we get back from the break. But paragraph styles, these are things that deal with your body of text. We're going to talk a little bit about this later as well, but you're going to see that it highlights intro body and there's a plus sign. We're going to talk about the plus sign later, so don't worry about that right now. We need to create a paragraph style based on the changes that we just made. So with your cursor in that, I'm air quoting paragraph because it's just 3 words, but there's a hard paragraph return there. We're going to keep your cursor there or selected. We're going to go to the paragraph styles panel menu. I got to say it slow just to make sure. So we're going to go to the paragraph styles panel menu in the top right. And you're going to choose the first option, a new paragraph style. So we're going to go to the paragraph styles panel menu at the top right and choose a new paragraph style. All right. So we've done this before. My InDesign, I know recently, over the 2 weeks, had a massive update. So my apply style to selection is unchecked. So the very first thing you should do, if you ever see that in the middle, kind of below style settings, if you see that checkbox, apply style to selection, that is unchecked, check it. And I said this in lesson 2, the reason we check that box is because if we did make any changes, like changing the color, we want to make sure that this line, heirloom vegetable seeds, is associated to the paragraph style that we're creating. And that way, any changes we make also get applied to that line of text, okay? We have a foster dog, and she's started to learn to bark, and we're having a problem with that. So I apologize if you can hear her barking. So let's make sure we check that box. And then again, I can never emphasize this enough. For the paragraph styles, name them what they are. So that, remember, always think of it as someone's going to come up behind you and they don't know what paragraph style 1 is. So we want to name this some way that makes sense. They have a whole naming convention in here, so we're gonna follow that. But I usually would do like title, subtitle, job cap, things like that. Excuse me, bullet numbers, stuff like that. So for this one, they want us to call it head, HEAD, two, head two. Kind of going over this again, it's based on, because this was originally set as the intro body, just like we see highlighted in the paragraph style. For the next style, sometimes you can apply that. Okay, so, and we're going to. So for the next style, this is also all paragraph styles. So for the next one, they want us to choose intro body. What that means is that wherever this is applied, so all these paragraph subtitles, the next paragraph is going to have the intro body style. Okay. And then the shortcut. I love shortcuts. So I thought these would be like really dumb, but they're really not. They saved me a ton of time because I'd have to come behind my coworkers, which is why I use that as an example of someone coming behind you and having to edit stuff while like you're out sick. I'd have to go into their documents and I would be like, oh my God, this is a mess. There's like 16 or 23 different types of paragraph styles. Oh my God. So their stuff was so disorganized. So I use shortcuts and oh my God, it saved me so much time. So this only works with the numbers across the top of your keyboard. It won't work with the 10 keypad styles, okay? So, and I've talked about this before. I have a specific convention of the way that I do character versus paragraph. And so I'm going to help you guys by you doing that. So Macs are going to hold down Command. All the Windows machines are going to do Control. And then I hate that they do 9. So we're going to start with 1. So do Control 1 or Command 1. But you got to use the numbers across the top of your keyboard. So across the QWERTY section. You're going to get either CTRL plus 1 or you'll get CMD plus 1. This gives you, that's your shortcut, basically. Again, it's going to save you a ton of time, okay? And that's how we're going to apply these. When we go down to the next box, style settings, this has got some importance to it because when you look in here, you can see size 18 points, color red, space before, space after. So if you do not see your settings in there, then there's a problem. But if you see all of your settings, you're good to go. And I actually say that because I had one time and I can see it in my brain. I just can't remember any details, but I know that it happened to me that I tried to create a style and I couldn't see the correct settings. And I was like, wait a minute. So then I had to go back and make sure that everything was set up right before I got in here. So that's a good place to double check and make sure that you got all the settings that you need in there, okay? And of course, make sure that apply styles to selection is selected. It says if you do, and I'm reading out of the book, if you don't select apply style as selection, the new style appears in your paragraph styles panel, but is not automatically applied to the selected text you use to create the style. And again, if we make any changes, we want it to be included. So that's why we're checking that box. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and hit okay. So once that happens, the way you know it works is 2 parts. Number 1, it's in your paragraph styles. You see head 2. And part 2 is it's highlighted, that blue. That means that it has been set up so that it's now a paragraph style. The reason it's selected is because it's applied to this text. That's the apply style to selection. That's what happens. This is out of order. Now, I don't normally go this crazy because of folders. I have to open folders and then select something, but some people may be a little more crazy about that. And I respect if you're that kind of an organized person, but it will always create a style underneath a style that was applied. So intro body, that's why it's there. But this, we're going to have to move it to the head paragraph style. So let's open up that part of the folder. You'll see there's head 1, 3, 4. So we're just going to click and drag. Just like you do layers and so on, we just got to click and drag this up until you get that gray, light gray line between head 1 and head 3. And then when you release, they're in order. Surprisingly, as much control as I want, I'm not big on this. And I don't like the folders because I'd rather just see everything there. But I also do shortcuts, so that usually helps as well. All right. but we do have the shortcut. So let's go ahead and try applying this. You can always put your cursor into the paragraph or body that you want to apply and then just click the style. So let's have some fun and use our shortcut, okay? So we're going to go over to the next page, fruits and flowers. When you put your cursor, I'm putting it in fruits because I love fruit. And so you'll see intro bodies highlighted. So I'm going to hit my shortcut, Control 1, because I'm on a Windows machine. What? It didn't work. Oh, you're going to give me problems there. Yeah, it was supposed to be the 10 key. Oh, well. We'll do it for the character style. How's that? Just go ahead and put your cursor in fruits and flowers and then choose the style. Tools and accessories, just click on head 2. I apologize. It's not supposed to do that. In fact, I'm going to double check. Yeah, it should be the num. You're supposed to use the 10 key pad. Boop. Yep. All right. My bad. Totally my mistake. And you can change the shortcut if you want. You just double click on the paragraph styles, go to where the shortcut is, command or control, and then use the numbers on the 10 keypad. Even when I was telling you the numbers across the top, I was like, I don't think that's right. So I apologize. It's been a while since I've had to do that kind of shortcuts and apply a bunch of styles like that. But we'll do it on the character style. That way we get it right. But it is really important to keep the shortcut style of command or control, separate that for character styles. We'll talk about that in a moment. It's 3:07. So let's do 5 minutes. So 3:13. You know what? Let's do 3:15. That way we got a nice round number to work with. 3:15. We'll jump back in. Honestly, we're not that far away. We made a lot of progress in here. Okay. I'm gonna go get some more water. I'll be right back, y'all. If you have any questions, but 3:15, we'll jump back in the lesson. Okay. Jerry, I see your mic turned on. What you got?
Oh, how did you correct it? Because mine did like yours. I'm on a
Oh,
Mac.
okay. Yeah, no problem. So you have your paragraph styles panel open, correct?
Yes.
Okay, double click. Don't do the name. Because if you double click on the name, it's going to let you change the name. So just in that open space, double click. It should open up the paragraph style options panel. Did that work?
Yes.
All right. So we're going to go ahead and kick back in. So that was paragraph styles, and um, paragraph styles and character styles really go hand in hand. We're going to talk about that in a bit as well. All right. And I have the office door open for the dogs. Hang on just a second. Hey, there's no barking, okay? Okay. My teaching assistant is very mouthy sometimes for today. All right. So the next thing we're going to do is take a look at character styles. We applied them. I mean, they're basically the same. So with paragraph styles, you just have to put your cursor into a block of text. As I've mentioned before, one of the things about what's called a paragraph is if it's after a hard return and then ends with a hard return. That's why we'll say, heirloom vegetables, seeds, fruits and flowers, tools and accessories. These are considered, and I'm air quoting, paragraphs, even though they're just a few letters, or sorry, a few words. So just keep that in mind. With characters, and this is just, I'm reiterating this because this was part of lesson 2 that I brought this up, but a character is each individual thing. So a letter, a number, punctuation, things like that. Those are all characters. So with character styles, you have to select the characters that you want to modify or apply a style to. So we are going to take, they're explaining stuff. What? Grow your best garden. What's that? They've changed this up a little bit. On page 2. Oh, we're going to go to that first paragraph on the left page. It says premium vegetable seeds. All right. And we want to make sure that we have, sometimes this stuff is just so out of whack. What are we doing? Which word? Tell me which word. Yeah, okay, I know which one it is. So we're going to take our type tool, and in that first paragraph, it's actually in the first line and the first sentence at the end. It says urban oasis garden. Whether you're going to include the punctuation at the end is kind of up to you. In all honesty, I don't do it unless I'm told specifically because I think it looks weird. That's just me. But so I'm not going to do the punctuation, the period at the end. Totally up to you. But it says grow your best garden yet with select urban oasis gardens. We're going to select those 3 words. We're going to change the color of the font to an ugly green. So let's look at the control panel at the top and click on the A. So we're switching to character. So a lot of times, I would say probably 80 to 90% of the time for this panel, you'll just leave it on the character side. So we're going to go ahead, same stuff we did with the paragraph setup. We're going to change the color from black. I want to use the green medium. I think it's ugly. Totally ugly. And then we'll go ahead and close that little panel by hitting the arrow. So we're changing the color to green. And then we're going to go to the left, past all these numbers, the kerning and tracking. And so we're going to go to where all those capital T's are. So these are really cool. I almost feel like Microsoft took a page out of this and started making this available in Word and PowerPoint and stuff. But I love it because you've got all caps. Right below it is what's called small caps, where the lowercase is actually done as capitalized, but it's still a lowercase type. You have subscript, which is next to it. That's where like you have, it's like formulas, things like that, to the powers of and things like that. Above it is the superscript. So you have underline and then strike through. We're going to do the small cap. So, capital letters and then lowercase are done as capitals. I would never recommend doing an entire like body text, the paragraphs and such in this manner of small cap. That would be really tacky. So just keep that in mind. But that's what we're gonna do. The leading and the size are correct. Okay. And so now what we're gonna do is create a character style out of this. So if you have your paragraph styles panel open, it should have the character style tab next to it. If that is the case, you can just click on that character style. If it's not, it's also under the type menu, and you'll see character styles, and you can just click that. So you can either go to the type menu at the top and choose character styles, or you can, if you have the paragraph styles panel open and you see the character styles tab, just click on it. Inside, and I apologize for all the stuff. I'm allergic to a bunch of the stuff here in the air, so I've got drainage going on like crazy with allergies, but I'm not sick. I feel real good. It's just that part. So I'm drinking a lot of water and having to, a few times. So I apologize. But you're going to notice in character styles that the only style we have is none. That is exactly how this starts out. So there is nothing here, and we create style. And that's what you want. When you're creating documents, you want styles to be unique, but sometimes you don't want to reinvent the wheel, so you can pull styles in. As I mentioned, we're going to do that at the end of the lesson. Same process. It's almost identical, except that it's characters. We do need to keep these characters selected. So we're going to go to our character styles panel, and we're going to go to the panel menu in the top right. So in the character styles panel, go to the top right of the panel, choose the panel menu. All right, and then we're going to do a new character style. New character style. Like I said, pretty much the exact same thing we just went through. Mine, the apply style to selection is not selected or checked, so we're going to go ahead and check that first. Always important. Once that's checked, it does not uncheck or deselect unless you do it or there's a massive update to the program, which is what's happened to me. So make sure that that's checked. For style name, we're going to change that up. It's going to be called garden name. That's the name of the garden company, Urban Oasis Gardens. All right. This one, we can do the same thing with the shortcuts. They do shift command or shift control. I actually do shift as characters. And again, we were talking about the break, Jerry and I, but you got to have the 10 keypad. So I am going to put in shift number 1. Remember, use the 10 keypad. All right. Below that, you see the style settings. And as you can see, it has small cap and green medium as the color. So we know our settings are in there. All right. And then that's it for that one. So let's hit OK. And then because we checked that box, apply style to selection, and we currently have those characters selected, you're going to see garden name. And then for those of us that have the 10 keypad on our keyboards, you can see the shortcut. But most importantly, you're going to see that it's lit up blue or highlighted, which means that this set of characters have this style applied to it. So now we're going to go to the right-hand page for the fruits and flowers and the tools and accessories. And it's in each paragraph, there's one spot that has the title, and we're just going to apply that character style. To do this, you have to select those characters. Paragraph styles allow you just to put the cursor there. Character styles, you have to select the characters. So with our type tool, under fruits and flowers, it's in the second line of the paragraph, a couple words in, it says Urban Oasis Gardens. And I'm just going to go ahead and click and apply. And then under tools and accessories, it's Urban Oasis Gardens. And then you can do the shortcut if you need, or if you can, or just select it and it applies that style. And as I showed you guys in lesson 2, it's actually really awesome because, and do edit deselect all so we have nothing selected. It's really great in the fact that the client comes back and goes, nah, man, you were right. That Urban Oasis Gardens is awful in the green. Then you can just real quick change the character styles and changing the color, which we'll address later in this lesson, like how to do that on the fly. And there you go. Like it will absolutely save you time in imagining, doing this on a larger scale, which is actually what we're about to do. So we're going to do what's called nested styles. So let's scroll down to pages 3 and 4. Well, I love the whole like vegetables and things. I miss my teas. But so this is cool. This is think in terms of a catalog. So like IKEA, if you're old like I am, there was the old JCPenney's and Sears catalog. Montgomery Ward's if we're really throwing it back. But if IKEA catalog actually is practical, the missus and I, we look at that as well. So when you see that, you're going to look at ways that they actually use bold, italics, or even colors to separate sections. So it helps to zoom in, but what we're going to do is called nested styles. This is what I use when a professional designer is like, oh, so I could probably sit in your class, but I probably wouldn't really learn anything. I probably know it all. And I'll be like, hey, do you remember how to do nested styles? And they're like, wait, what? Yeah, exactly. So this isn't something that's commonly done, but I actually have had callbacks when I was job searching for like, have you ever done catalogs? No, but I teach a class on InDesign and we do this stuff there, like talk about catalogs and how to do nested styles. I never got hired, which is dumb. I'm sure that if they had actually talked to me, they would have been like, you're hired. But if you did get a job where you are creating a catalog, this is actually part of the process. And I'm going to rephrase that. This is the proper way to do it. It depends on how they do their thing. So I'm going to zoom in where it says beans. Beans, a little cat, the cat pads. They're called beans, and we have 3 cats. I mess with their beans all the time. So we're going to look at beans where it says green, black Valentine. Green is the color, black Valentine is the strain. So we want to make sure that we separate that because this doesn't look interesting at all. So we're going to make a few changes, and then we're going to create character styles out of it. And the nested styles works by taking character styles and putting them into paragraph styles. And it works that way because characters make up paragraphs, right? Characters make words, which make sentences, which makes paragraphs. But it does not go the other way around, but you can actually put character styles into a paragraph style. And the way that I approach this is the way that I teach it. So the way that I'm telling you when we get started with this is the way my brain goes through this every time I'm doing a nested style or specifically this lesson. Okay. So we're going to start. I got to make sure that they haven't changed too much on this part. We're going to start with the color green. So we're the name green. So we're going to take the type tool and we are going to select the word green. This is one where they're going to show us how we can make a change while we're creating a style. So we're going to select the word green, and then we're going to go over to character styles, and we're going to create a brand new character style. So again, we got the word green selected. We're going to go to, wait. Oh, no, there wasn't. Maybe there was. Maybe Jerry did. And you know what, Jerry? I'm gonna let you have that one. I'm not gonna go back on it. Sorry, I just saw the chat. But continuing on this part, so with the word green selected, we're gonna go to character styles and choose a new character style from the panel menu. Sorry, let me back up. We're gonna go to the character styles panel, and in the panel menu in the top right, we're gonna choose a new character style. A new character style. So what you're going to notice is the checkbox for apply style to selection is currently selected, which is what it should be. And then we're going to change this. They want it to be called variety because variety is the spice of life, right? And then we're actually, well, we don't need a shortcut because this is going to get put inside of a paragraph style. But if we look at the left-hand side, where it says like, basic character format, so on and so forth, you can actually make changes on the fly while you're creating the style. So the first thing they want us to do is they want us to change the font family, and I'm not going to do that. I'm sorry, not sorry. But what I do want to do under that basic character formatting menu that's on the left, it'll take you there. I want to change the font style. So what we're going to do is we're going to open that up. This is a huge list because we don't have a specific font selected here, the font family. It's going to show us everything. So there's extra condensed, condensed, semi-condensed, and then mediums, light, thins, things like that. There are fonts that have like Helvetica, Uverse. They have stuff in there. And so don't be overwhelmed by this. It's normal. So color. What type of font style is color? We're actually gonna scroll this down and you're just gonna select just the word bold, the regular bold, okay? All right. And they want us to change the font family to myriad and I just buy myriad. Let's keep it minion, looks beautiful. And then they want oh yes. Then, so we started to create the style. We've called it variety. On the left-hand side, we chose basic character formats. That's our navigation menu. We navigated to the basic character formats. We changed the font style essentially from regular to bold. And then on the left navigation menu, we're going to go to character color. So in lesson 2, this is what I was doing is I just opened up the options and I chose character color and was changing the color. They want us to change it to green medium, whatever. It's a green bean probably, so we'll leave it green. So we're going to select green medium. All right, and I think that's actually all we're going to do there. So I do want us to, on the left navigation menu, I want us to go ahead and jump to general again, because I want you to see under style settings that it says bold and then color green medium. So even if we're creating stuff on the fly, it's still going to have those settings for the style under the style settings, okay? So we created a style, we call it variety. We changed the font style to bold by going to basic color format and changing that. Inside there, you can see leading, tracking, kerning. So this is all the controls that we have, we talked about in the last lesson. But also on the left side navigation menu, we chose color, character color, and we changed that to green medium. And then we checked the style settings at the general tab or general selection so that we can verify that. So let's go ahead and hit OK. And as you can see, you have the word green selected and variety is there. The next thing that we're going to do, we're supposed to select that colon. You know what? Don't worry about it. It's all going to work out. We're going to highlight or select the words Black Valentine. Also, sidebar, love the name of that green bean. My fiance is a goth girl. You wouldn't know it meeting her because she dresses completely normal, but she is totally a goth person and she would love this. Black Valentine. I think I told you all too, for Valentine's, I planted a black iris for her. She's really excited to see it. She doesn't know that what it is, but she's really excited. Okay, so we're going to select the word Black Valentine. For this one, we are going to italicize it. So let's go. I don't think we even changed the color. I think we leave it the way that it is. Yeah. So we selected Black Valentine. In the control panel at the top on the left, we're going to change that font style from regular. It does not have. Oh my gosh. We do have to change that font. Okay. I don't like doing that. So here's what we're going to do, because I hate Myriad. We're going to change the font family. We're going to change it from Minion Pro. Let's do Arial, because I know everyone's got that. So we're just going to choose Arial, which is a sans serif. Notice that it doesn't have the little kickouts and everything. So change your font from Minion Pro to Arial. Now we can change the style to italic. All right. So we've selected the words Black Valentine. This is the type of bean that it is. We changed the font to Arial. That actually works in a catalog style because you're creating a visual separation between green, Black Valentine, and then the description. So this is one of those times that it's actually not a bad idea. All right. So let's go ahead and create a character style for that because we italicized it. So let's go to our character styles. We're going to go to the character styles panel menu in the top right and choose a new character style. We have the words Black Valentine selected and all of our changes are there. When we look at the style settings in the middle of the panel, you see Arial and then italic. So we know that that's good. This one's going to be called vegetable name. And this is actually a good example of why you want to name things what they're supposed to be. Because what we're about to do is actually have to recall. And so we want to make sure that the character styles, the names of them are reflective of what they are. All right, so we're going to just change this to vegetable. Oh, it's wrong. I'm the worst speller. I always told my students that I became an art teacher because I didn't like spelling. So then they were like, I want to be an art teacher. And I'm like, bless your heart. Okay, so vegetable name, we have the Arial italic. Let's hit OK. So what we're doing here is we're prepping everything up. And even then, this gives us kind of a visual example of what we're about to create. All right. We're just going to do it on a large scale. Go ahead. You could do edit deselect all. All right. So we're going to create a nested style. This is a nested style is a paragraph style that has character styles inserted into it. So we do need to switch over to our paragraph styles. All right. So I got my paragraph styles. The paragraph style that we are using is custom or catalog body. It's the very, very, very last one underneath the body text folders. This is why I don't like folders for organization, but I get it if somebody wants to do that way. We're going to go to catalog body. So as I was mentioning to Jerry on that break, if you double click where the name of the style is, it's going to actually allow you to change the name of the style. Just don't. I always click off to the side in the open space. So I'm just going to double click catalog body. Yeah, so these two pages are actually set up to be a catalog, hence the name. So on the left side, that navigation menu that's there, we're gonna move down. I'm not even gonna try to count 2, 4, 6. It's the eighth from the bottom. It's called drop cap and nested style. Drop cap and nested style. There's something called a country gentleman. Awesome. Okay. I'm like really starting to look at some of these names, kind of crazy. Is this golden fine? Okay. I'll look at it later. So we're gonna go to drop caps and nested style. So the drop cap portion of this, which that's the last thing in the lesson when we pull paragraph styles from another document, it's actually a drop cap that we're bringing in. But this is where you can set that up as a paragraph style if you'd like. But we're not going to worry about that. We're actually going to the one in the middle that says nested style. There's nothing there. The one below it, nested line styles, not worried about that. Looking at the middle, it says nested style. So we're going to start a nested style. We have to start one. So we're going to do nested style, a new nested style. It's a button there. Go ahead and click. All right. So it should throw up a line. It says none through one word. Nested style. So when we hit the new nested style button, we have a line that pops up and it says none through one word. So the way that I'm going to explain this, because I'm going to keep repeating certain parts, is the way that my brain walks through it, because to me, it makes a lot of sense. So the first part is the character style. And of course, I cannot move. I'm going to move my paragraph style out of the way. So the first part is your character style. And I want to make sure that for the screen, for the video specifically, we can kind of see it. So when we look at it, that menu, when you drop it down, this is only character styles. That's it. So looking at the style, we say that wherever catalog body, and when the word body means like a paragraph or multiple paragraphs, where it says catalog body, at the beginning of this paragraph style, wherever it's applied, we want the first characters or the first part of that paragraph to have the character style. And that's, is it vegetable name? No, it was variety, right? Yeah, variety. So we want the variety to show. That's the green. So at the beginning of this paragraph, the beginning of every new paragraph, we want the first part of it to be the character style variety, right? So choose variety. Next, there are where it says through, you can click it once, it'll select it. There's a drop down box and there's two options. There's through and up to. For example, this has a colon. Excuse me. So for a colon, if when we're applying this, we could say up to, which means it does not include, but if you choose through, it will include. This becomes important because punctuations like colons, periods, bullets, these can be used as marker points in your catalog. So for this one, we're going to leave it as through. For mine, I actually didn't select the colon. So mine's black, which is fine. It even works out great for the lesson. But I wanted to include it. So we're going to tell it to go to include through. So this reads at the beginning of the paragraph, wherever this paragraph style is applied, the beginning of the paragraph is going to have the character style variety applied all the way through, which means it will include. And then we're going to go to where this number one is. Now, that number one actually represents first. So first, second, third, because you can use punctuation or characters to help you in that sense. So since there's only one colon, we're going to leave the number one there. So it's going to go up to the first instance it runs into. So we're going to leave the one. Okay, so that's what that represents. So we're saying that wherever this style is applied, the beginning of the paragraph, you want the character style variety to be applied all the way through the first, and then it says words. So words is so generic, right? You can click on this and it'll actually highlight the word words. You can replace this. So in this case, we want to use a colon as our marker. So I'm going to put a colon in there. All right. And you can hit enter when you're done with that, because that's going to close off that part. So what this should say is at the beginning of the paragraph, we want the character style variety applied all the way through so that it includes, that's what through is, that it includes the first, and then we put a colon because that's our marker. All right. And if you actually check the preview box, I normally don't have classes do that, but this can help. You'll see that like green on every line has been, and even lima and wax, they've been lit up green, and it's including the colon. It's important to have something that stops it because otherwise everything is going to just suddenly be stuck in that spot. I think my AirPods are about to die, so I'm going to switch over.
As the stop mark prevents it from turning all the letters and characters and sentences in here into that style. So we've got that style, that character style nestled into our paragraph style. It's nested in. We're now going to do the varieties, or I mean, sorry, the vegetable names. So that's the Black Valentine, for example, or the extra early refugee. Oh, that's an interesting one. So we're going to add another nested style. So click the new nested style button. All right. So we're going to think about this also through that same process. So nested styles, after the variety part, we want to include the vegetable name, the character vegetable name. Now, for this one, I think I'm going to double check what it says. Yeah. Okay, cool. Cool. What? Interesting. All right. They changed this up a bit. We are going to have this go vegetable name all the way up to. So we're going to tell it up to. This means it's going to stop. All right. And then up to first. So what they're having us do is going to be a weird one. I've never done this in the class before, so I'm interested to see that this does work this way. So we're going to tell it that to apply the vegetable name all the way up to the first. So we're going to leave the number one. And then instead of words, it says sentences, which I think, yes, this is a drop-down combo box. So you can choose like kind of generic things. So the first option is called sentences. I'm gonna go with the book on this one because I'm interested. I personally would have done all the way up to the first and then put a period because each one of these has a period after it. But let's see what happens, So we're gonna do all the way up to the first sentences and then just hit the enter key and it works. It's interesting. Cool. I hope that worked for you guys. There's a couple things I want to touch on before we step away from this part. By that, I just mean, we're moving on to the next part of the lesson. If you need to break apart to where you don't have a character style applied, you can create a character style, a nested style that applies none there. And you can actually tell it to apply it, into certain places. And like, for example, let's see if I do this. I'm doing it on the video part and it's not working and that's fine. But you can actually have it break apart certain parts, have other character styles in between. And what I'm bringing up this part for is that if you look at the bottom right, if you see nested style button, the delete button, and you go all the way to the right, there are arrows. And you can actually switch the order in which this applies. And in fact, if you do that, it actually shows you how it messes things up. So just keep that in mind. But you do have control, a lot of control over this. If you end up in a position where you're working with nested styles and you feel overwhelmed, let me know. Hey, man, I'll walk you through some stuff. Have to be after hours, but because I do work from 9 to 6. But it totally makes sense to me. There's older versions of this lesson that actually have you go through and set do a none character style on there so that you don't have to worry about that. But character styles, if you actually, at this point, let's go ahead and hit OK on our paragraph style there. And then if you actually hit Control 0 or Command 0, remember that's how we look at one page for your document. And you can even adjust your screen to see both pages. What took us just a little bit of time to set up has now actually put us into a position where 2 pages have now been done with our different character styles and paragraph styles. If you don't see that, please let me know. But I mean, you've got the green to highlight the type of variety. You've got the italicized text that shows you the different type of the name of the vegetable. So like the Detroit dark red turnip, which I love the Detroit dark. Rockford, Jenny Lind, hoodoo. There's a hoodoo muskmelon. So, this is how these catalogs are set up. So if you do get the IKEA catalog, I would encourage you to actually open it, take a look, and look at the different ways and under the listings and imagine in your head, how would I set up the character styles? And then how would I put them in as a nested style? Because that's what I do now as a designer. I'm always looking at stuff. How would I do that? How would I change that? What would I do different? Okay. It is 3:54. We're about to jump to another part. It's not like it's a big deal, but we're going to be looking at object styles. So let's do a quick 5-minute break. We'll come back at 4 o'clock. Okay. And then pick things up. All right. I'm real quick going to go check on the dogs, and then I'll be right back if anybody has questions. Okay. You can stay out here. All right, I got a little bit before start back up. All right. So, paragraphic character styles, they save you huge headache because, again, I don't like this green. I can go back and change everything and make it red. And all I have to do in this case is change the character style to red, and it would actually show this across 2 pages. So what I always tell everyone is imagine doing this professionally. If you had to select each name and change it to green, and then the client comes back and says no, and you've got to change each one of those individually to red, that's a lot of time. So creating styles saves you time in the long run, especially on the back end. So my general rule of thought is, take the time, invest in the time that it takes to create the styles. I would rather spend an hour creating styles, like even 3 to 5 styles, and not have to do hours of work on the back end for making changes or adjustments. As you're creating a book, if your paragraph style for your titles or headers or whatever, if they're too big and you have to adjust the sizes, you can adjust them and they will adjust all of them across the entire document, which is something I've had to do. That's why I'm using that as an example. So if I reduce those sizes because the size of certain text, it helps to be able to create a style first and then have that style be applied. And then editing the styles just makes it easier. All right, we're going to take a look at object styles. I am actually, I'm going to go ahead and close these because I hate the floating panels when they're just open like that. But object styles are similar, but they're just different. And there's only one type. Character and paragraph styles, there are 2 types that work together. Object styles are different. They have their own thing going. So we're going to go to the very top cover. I mean, I know that red on green is just atrocious. But there actually is a way that some stuff we're going to apply that's going to really help change that up. So we have nothing selected. So we're at the top cover, Urban Oasis Gardens, and the seed packets there. We're going to take our selection tool, the black arrow, and we're going to go ahead and select that line, Urban Oasis Gardens. This is actually outlined text. So you just can't, that's why we're not using the type tool because this is outlined. So we're going to make some adjustments and it's going to help make the legibility of this better. So to do this, we are going to go to what's called the effects panel. Well, sort of. Yeah, I'm going to take you guys to the effects panel. I don't like the book. It takes you through the certain menu and no one ever does that. It's better just to use a panel. So let's go to the Windows menu at the top. Go to the Windows menu at the top. Okay. And then we're going to go, remember that the Windows menu is actually alphabetized. So let's just go down to Effects. We're going to go to the Window menu at the top and go to Effects. And we're actually in, I'm trying to remember, it's like lesson 11 or 12. I think it's 12. They switched some lessons around, but and we're gonna really get into this whole panel later. But it's easier to go into this panel and find what we need. We're gonna go to the bottom right corner where it says FX. So we're in the effects panel. We're gonna go to the bottom right corner of that panel and click on the FX button. And then you're gonna choose what's called transparency. I don't know why they're doing that. It's so weird. Whatever works. We're getting into this panel. This is the panel we need to be in. So again, we select Urban Oasis Garden. It's on the cover, the very top page. We went to the window menu at the top. And then we selected effects. And then inside the effects panel, we went to the FX button in the bottom right. And then we chose transparency. For this one, there's apparently 2 things they're going to have us do. It seems excessive, but whatever works. We're going to first click where it says drop shadow. Wait, what is it saying? Select drop shadow. Oh, okay. And then select outer glow. It helps to have the checkbox checked. Again, an outer glow and a drop shadow, they're kind of work hand in hand. They're almost the same thing, almost. So we're not making any adjustments otherwise. We're just going to real quick check, and we're done. So hit OK. And again, we're going to mess with this effects panel later in the lesson. It's like the entirety of the lesson is us inside that panel. But now you can see that outer glow is the white part that kind of glows out, and you can't really see the drop shadow, and that's fine. But just like we looked at in the color lesson with that creating a stroke to separate 2 colors part of the lesson, doing something like this, an effect like outer glow, really does help separate the colors and allows the reader to not have this really uncomfortable visual that their brain is fighting with. I don't normally like using effects. We do use them. We use drop shadow all the time at work just because of color backgrounds, it's advertising. But one thing I'll tell you, and I'll reiterate it later, is use drop shadow sparingly on print pieces specifically. So anyways, yeah, so we've applied these 2 different types of effects to an object. All right. And so what we're going to do now is we're going to create an object style. So there's really one place to find this style setting. So go to window at the top, go to the window menu at the top, right where we were just a moment ago. Like I said, this is all alphabetical. So go down to styles. So go to the window menu at the top, go to styles. And there's an, oh God, I have another one added in there. So there's one, it's called object styles. These are alphabetical as well. So we're going to do object styles. This is actually the menu, this is actually a selection of styles you get from default. There's these 3 weird ones. But we're going to go ahead and create a new style out of it. So let's go to the panel menu in the top right. So go to the object styles panel menu and choose a new object style, the first option. You can see how a lot of this becomes rhythmical. Like there's just a whole rhythm to it. If you're doing paragraph styles, you just keep doing the same thing as you're creating styles, same thing, character styles. So as you're doing this regularly, it becomes a rhythm. It just becomes a natural thing. All right, so for this one, same thing, apply style to selection. We want to make sure that that applies. So that checkbox, it's way further down on the panel. That's just because with objects, they have a ton of stuff that's there. So we definitely have to be real careful about that. This is really intimidating, but it's not. It's just because they have so many options with, there's inner outer glow, there's all these like strokes, fills, text column rules and things like that. So the style settings, I'm not going to dig through it, but to be honest with you, if I did dig through, you would actually find the settings I think I'm doing it. I'm doing it now. There's actually settings set up for the drop. I'm not even going to do the outer glow. I'm going to go do the drop shadow. I need to do outer glow. Yeah, so it's got like the size settings. It'll have color. This blend mode is set, things like that. So color is set to paper. There's the settings will be there. They're in drop menus in there, so it just looks like a lot because there's a lot more options in here. But don't freak out. So it's no need to be overwhelmed. But make sure that apply style selections is checked. And then same thing with the name, as I kept saying, it needs to be whatever it's supposed to do. This is dumb. It's calling it drop shadow, and it's not even really a drop shadow. An outer glow, but whatever. So go ahead and adjust for that. So we're going to name it drop shadow, and that's really all we're going to do. It actually kind of talks about how you can go through and find out where the settings are. So we changed the name. Go ahead and hit OK. And so now with the Urban Oasis Gardens title selected, we have drop shadow as an object style, and it's currently highlighted, which means it's selected. So we are good to go there. Let's go ahead and move down all the way down to the 6th page. So that one's going to be more sitting to the left. And there's a title there that says how to grow. We're basically going to select that title, how to grow, and then click on drop shadow object style, and bing, bang, boom, we're done. Pretty easy. All right. Let's see. Well, we'll talk about that in that one lesson. I may be saving tables for the actual tables lesson. Okay. Yeah. We'll save that because the entire lesson is about tables. It's a fantastic lesson, especially with the way they've grown the abilities of tables. So I'm just trying to help us out with time and getting through a lot of stuff. And so what we're going to do next is what's called a global update. Okay, we're going to go to pages 4 and 5. So we're going to go to where all of our vegetables are. What is that? Corn. Okay, so popcorn is called white hullis. Sweet corns, there's country gentleman and nectar. Okay, so we're going up to our little catalog pages. And then, yes, all right, cool. We're going to look at the top left where the title beans is. That just always makes me laugh because of cat toes, beans. All right, we are going to make some changes. Let's see. Oh, yes, awesome. All right. We're going to put our cursor into the word beans. Kind of like what we saw with that column rule where it created the vertical line. We're going to do what's called a paragraph rule. It's basically the same concept. So to get there, though, we do need to open the paragraph panel. You can see why it's good to have multiple screens because you can open all these panels on one screen and have your InDesign document on the other, and that way you're not opening and closing stuff. So I do recommend it if you can catch a good sale. So let's put our cursor into the word beans, and then we're going to go to the type menu at the top, the type menu, and choose paragraph. Not styles, just paragraph. Type menu at the top and choose paragraph. Once we have that panel open, we're going to go to the panel menu in the top right. So go to the paragraph panel menu in the top right. The 6th option from the bottom is called paragraph rules. Paragraph rules. It's right underneath GREP styles. That's probably the one that'll pop out the most. So right below it is paragraph rules. Same thing, go ahead and click the preview box. Again, those preview boxes reset if there's a massive update. And that usually happens like once a year whenever they do the big yearly updates. All right, so now it's similar to the column rule in that it's going to create a line, but this has options that are a little bit more in that sense, okay? So for starters, there are two rules, all right? You have the rule above and the rule below. So the way that they work is you can turn both rules on at the same time. So just keep this in mind. If you accidentally turn on the rule above and you really meant to do the rule below, just make sure that you go and turn off the rule above, or turn off whichever one you don't need, because they can both be turned on at the same time. So just realize that both of them can be activated at the same time. We're actually going to do the rule below. Let me double check, because I'm like, okay, yes, it's the rule below, just making sure. So we're going to choose rule below, and then go ahead and check the box rule on. I'm not going to lie, I love this part of it because I'm like, rule on, man, yeah. Like, it reminds me of like 80s metal and stuff. So anyways, or hair bands. But yeah, so we're going to do rule below. Now, each one, doesn't matter if it's above or below, it's going to create a line right there. So we've got our line. The weight, remember, weight is a measurement of how thick a line is for the stroke. All right. So right now it's set to 1 point. They want us to change that to a half point. We're going to open that drop down menu, that little arrow to the right. A quarter, a half, and 3/4 are actually options inside. So you can go ahead and choose a half. And it's a good idea. That 1 point is really thick in terms of the weight. So doing a half point, it's really going to help allow this line to do its job the way it's supposed to, as opposed to drawing attention to it in a way that it overpowers things around it. So don't hesitate to make underlines or vertical lines that separate. Don't hesitate to make them thinner. You just want to make sure that they're noticeable, but that they're not competing with whatever's around them. They do want us to change the color from black to red. So we're going to drop that color down to red. And then they're having us leave it to, yeah, okay. There's another thing I'm going to show you. We're only going to change one other thing, but before we make that change, I want to show you something. There's a spot, it says gap color. Don't worry about that. Below it, there's a thing called width. And this is a column. There's two options there. There's column and there's text. I do encourage you right now to click on text, and you'll see that that line goes from the beginning of the word beans to the end. So text means it follows all the text on whatever you're putting this rule on. So it'll stop at a certain point. We're going to switch it back to column, because what that does is, and it's especially applicable here because there's two columns on each page, is this spans it from one end to the end of the column, regardless of how long the word or sentence is that you're applying the rule. I just want you to be aware of this. And the reason I bring this up too is I actually liked using this as an underline tool. This is an amazing way. This is the only way you should underline something like this, like a title or anything like that. The reason is, if you draw a line, then you have to move the line whenever you move the text. So now you're moving two objects. So there's now the ability for things to get out of a line and mess up and not look right. You could do like in the control panel to do the underline, but you can't adjust that. It just strictly underlines a word. What we're about to do is actually move the line in a different direction, a little closer to the word beans. And so that actually gives us that kind of level of control. And when I worked at the insurance broker, I had like 2 or 3 of my colleagues, the fellow designers, that would email or call me and be like, what did you do? Like, how is it that I can move this around? Or they had to adjust something. So I would real quick go through like a short lesson on how this works, rule above and rule below. So if you're going to underline like a title, like it's going to be, Mr. Strink's InDesign class, and I would put an underline underneath it. Well, I would do a rule below, so that if I move that title or that block of text anywhere, that line's tied to it immediately. It's a part of it. So just keep that in mind. And so That's what the column in text is. It just allows you to change the width of it. But if you take a look to the right of where that is, there's a title called offset. And so offset is when something, we normally push it away to the outside. And that's what this is doing. So it's pushing it away. We're going to change that value to 0.025. Go ahead and hit tab. You'll notice the line just scoots a little bit closer to the word beans. If you change the offset to 0, it'll go right up against the bottom of the word beans, which it's not ideal. You want to give yourself a little bit of space. So this pushes it so that it's underlining the word beans. All right. So we created a rule below. So we have an underline. Now, rule above and rule below both put a line underneath the word or sentence or whatever. The difference is that if you change that offset and a positive number on a rule below pushes it down, and a positive number on the rule above pushes it up. That's the difference. So below means down, above means up. All right. So we went ahead and we changed the weight to 0.5. Or half a point. We changed the color to red tomato. I showed you guys width, how it can change. And then we changed the offset to scoot our line a little bit closer to the word beans. So let's go ahead and hit OK. I'm going to zoom out so we see our pages. So that looks cool. What they're doing is they're creating an underline underneath the titles of each section. So beans, beets, corn, so on. And that way you kind of know that that's the title to the section. It just makes it look a little nicer, a little more polished. And so here's the thing. We've made this change, but it's not everywhere else. And I don't want to go through and do this over and over and over again. So we're going to modify or update a paragraph style. So let's go ahead and open up our paragraph styles. So go to the type menu, choose paragraph styles. Type menu, choose paragraph styles. All right. Okay, so this is where earlier I was like, don't worry about the plus sign. We'll talk about it later. We're going to talk about it. So you'll see that header, my cursor is still on the word beans. That header, our paragraph style is called head 3. It has a plus sign next to it. The plus sign is an indicator that something is different. Something has changed where your cursor is that is different than what's in this paragraph style. So we made a change. We legitimately did. So instead of what we're going to do is we're going to have that change be applied or update this paragraph style to include that change so that anywhere in our document, it's going to apply this change to wherever that style has been applied. Okay. But that plus sign is an indicator that some sort of a change was made and it's not inside this paragraph style. Okay. So to make that change a stick, we're going to go to the paragraph styles panel menu, go to the top right, and then it's the fourth option down. So we have head 3 selected, it's got a plus sign. We're going to go to the paragraph styles panel in the top right. We're going to click on the lines, and then we're going to choose the fourth option, redefine style. What this does is it takes whatever changes have been applied and it makes them part of that paragraph style. And now when you look at both pages, that red line is underneath every spot that's got that head 3 paragraph style applied. Now imagine you're doing an IKEA catalog and you have to do this and you've got 300 pages of products. All you had to do was make one change to one spot, redefine the paragraph style, and bam, it's across 300 pages. That is how styles can help you along the way on everything. All right. I seriously love this lesson. It is amazing how it shows what you're capable of doing. All right. So it looks, oh, yep, we're at the bottom part of this. Let's go ahead and have some fun. All right. So let's go to edit, deselect all. We're going to scroll up to the pages 2 and 3, where we started with the premium vegetable seeds, starter plants, and tools. Let's start there. All right. No need to zoom in. What we're going to do, and it's really awesome. Normally, I would say normally, probably like a third of the time that I've taught this class, I've always had someone be like, well, wait, can you like bring in a paragraph style from another document? Yeah, you totally can. And so, and I've done this before. There's no need to reinvent the wheel. Even if you're just bringing it in to change the color or change the font, but there could be a whole other set of elements that really help like save time. Like we're going to bring in a drop cap. So we didn't need to go through all the work. Even if we're going to end up changing the color of the drop cap because this is a different document, I don't have to go through and do all the work of the drop cap. So if you've created a document and you're like, I love these styles, or you just want to bring those styles in so you can kind of work with them, this is the process that you would do or take to do that. Okay. So we're going to be over at on the paragraph styles. Okay. Now, of course, we're going to bring in the styles from the end document or end file. So that's partly why there's end files in there. But for this one, we're going to be in the paragraph styles, and there's a reason for that. So kind of make sure you're following me along on this. Not like it's a huge deal, but I just want to make sure that you're choosing the right selections. So for the paragraph style, we're going to go to the paragraph style panel menu. So remember, top right, we're going to go there. Click on that menu. And then it's like almost literally in the middle. Go past the new style pack and you're going to see two options. Okay. Excuse me. Don't click anything. Load paragraph styles and load all text styles. Now, listen very carefully. Always choose load all text styles. And I'm going to show you when we do this why, but sometimes we don't know what all is inside that paragraph style. It could be nested styles, and we want to make sure we pull everything over that's included. So just as a rule of thumb, a best practice as they call it, just go ahead and choose load all text styles. That's also on the character style side. So that way you know one thing to pick. That's all you ever have to pick, okay? So we're going to choose load all text styles. Mine opens up lesson 9, so make sure you navigate over to lesson 9, okay? Inside the lesson 9 folder, we're working on start. We're going to select the end file because it's finished. It's got everything there. Okay, so select end, hit open. This is going to open up another panel. You can enlarge this panel if you want. If you know how, cool. If not, don't worry about it. But what you're going to notice is that you have the paragraph symbols, and then you have that capital A, which represents character symbols. Paragraph styles, character styles. So that's one thing that definitely keep in mind, especially with the control panel when we're using the type tool. That far left side, you can switch between character and paragraphs. These symbols actually help us navigate what we're looking at, okay? Now, we don't need to bring all of these in. We've already created head to, garden name, vegetable name, and so on. So let's go ahead and choose uncheck all. We don't have to bring in everything. We just need a certain thing we're looking for. The last option of the body of the paragraph styles is body text, drop cap body. We're bringing a drop cap. Before you do anything, like, selecting stuff and whatnot, excuse me, go ahead and just check the box next to the drop cap body paragraph style. When you check that box, the drop cap character style is going to get checked because it's a nested style. And that's why I think it's important just to go ahead and always choose to load all text styles. Even if you're 100% sure, I just would do this anyways and make it a habit. So that way, if you're coming in, like say I'm working and I'm sick, and then Uthman's got to come behind me and he's like, oh man, I got to pull this one from a document that I already created. So he can go in and create that. Or he could be like, man, I really like, this one that Silas did. I'm going to go pull that from his files. So he does that. You can guarantee yourself that you will always pull over any character styles associated to a paragraph style. It's just a safe step. So now that we have that selected, we have both a paragraph and a character style selected. Let's go ahead and hit OK. When we go over to our paragraph styles, we see there is drop cap body. If you can, go ahead and switch to your character styles and you'll see drop cap there. So we brought in both. It's a very useful tool to be able to not have to reinvent the wheel. That's a huge part of what I try to emphasize in this class is, let's invent the wheel once and not reinvent it over and over again. Work smarter, not harder is the other way to say it. But switch back to the paragraph styles. Let's go ahead and finish out by applying our drop cap. And I want to double check that they have it in the right space. Yeah, okay. So we're going to take our type tool, and in that paragraph below heirloom vegetable seeds where it says look for your tried and true, just put your cursor inside of there. I ain't gonna lie, I'm gonna actually put it in cucumbers because, man, I love cucumbers. It's weird, but I like them. I didn't as a kid. So I'm just gonna put it in that paragraph. Remember, paragraph styles, you just have to have your cursor inside the body of text. Character styles require you to select the characters. So I've got my cursor inside that paragraph. I'm going to go over and choose the drop cap body paragraph style. It does a 2-line green L, and we're done. The color green is terrible in this lesson, but overall, it's a really nice example of a layout, especially those pages 4 and 5 with all the melons, peas, squashes, and things. That is amazing. And I want you to really take a look at that and think to yourself, you made that happen by just doing a few steps. All of that was changed in minutes. Okay. We're going to go ahead and stop there.